Peabody Hale. The Peterkins' Summer Journey by Lucretia Peabody Hale. Mr. and Mrs. Peterkin and their 6 children, Agamemnon, Solomon John, Elizabeth Eliza, and 3 little boys were preparing to go on a summer journey. This story is about the trouble they had while preparing to go on a journey over 2 summers. The first trouble had been about the trunks. The family did not own a trunk suitable for traveling. All they had were Agamemnon's valise, Eliza's trunk. Solomon John and Mr. Peterkin each had a patent leather handbag, but these were not enough to carry all their things. Mrs. Peterkin suggested her grandmother's hair trunk. This was very large. The next morning, Mrs. Peterkin began by taking out the things that were already in the trunk. All day, Mrs. Peterkin worked over the trunk, putting away the old things, putting in the new. Agamemnon fetched his books and Solomon John his spyglass. There were her own and Elizabeth Eliza's best bonnets in a handbox, also Solomon John's hats. Agamemnon brought down a large, heavy dictionary and an atlas still larger. Mr. Peterkin wanted to take his turning lathe, so Mrs. Peterkin packed his tool chest. The little boys' hoops went in, so did their India rubber boots. They each had a hoe and shovel and some baskets that were packed. Everything was packed. Even the little boy's kite lay smoothly on the top. The next thing was to cord up the trunk. But neither Mr. Peterkin nor Agamemnon nor Solomon John could lift it alone or all together. Everyone had different ideas on what to do. Solomon John suggested taking a carriage. But how could a trunk that could not be moved be taken anywhere? It was suggested that they might take the things out of the trunk and pack it at the station. But Elizabeth Eliza thought the place too public. Gradually, the old contents of the great trunk went back again to it. But a friend unexpectedly offered to lend Mr. Peterkin a good-sized family trunk. But it was late in the season, and so the journey was put off for that summer. The trunk was sent round to the house and a family consultation was held. Many things would have to be left at home. It was smaller than the grandmother's hair trunk. Agamemnon had been studying the atlas through the winter, so it would not be necessary to take it. Mr. Peterkin decided to leave his turning lathe at home and his tool chest. Again, Mrs. Peterkin spent 2 days in accommodating the things. Everything of importance could be packed, except the little boy's kite. Mrs. Peterkin suggested that they ask the advice of the lady from Philadelphia on what to do. The little boys too wanted to ask her opinion about the kite. They came back in high spirits. The lady from Philadelphia suggested that they make their kites when they get there. All the stuff to make the kites too was packed. Everything was settled. The question then was, when should they go?